It's happening again. Media speculation is just going crazy about changes that Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves is going to have to make in her November budget in order to plug a really big hole in the public finances. But of all the possible changes, the one that seems to light people up the most is changes to pensions, and specifically tax-free cash. So is this really something that she's likely to mess with? Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew and I'm a chartered financial planner based here in the UK. This video is brought to you by Meaningful Academy Retirement Planning. More on that towards the end of the video, but Black Friday is coming and with it, the deepest discount that we offer all year. There's a link in the description to join the list so we can keep you informed when the sale goes live. Right, tax-free cash. It's been around for a very long time. The right to take a tax-free lump sum of 25% from a pension fund has been in place since April 2006, but some form of tax-free cash, with differing amounts available from different kinds of schemes, that's been available for decades longer than that, all the way back to the 1920s actually, for occupational schemes, would you believe? Since 2006, the tax-free cash has also been capped at 25% of the lifetime allowance, and the level of that changed from its introduction in that year until its abolition in the 24-25 tax year. So the maximum amount of tax-free cash has changed a great deal over time, rising and falling in line with the lifetime allowance. But now it's fixed as something called the lump sum allowance. It's fixed at £268,275. Now, pensions are always a political football, a fact that keeps financial advisors like me in work, but that also makes it very difficult to plan, which is kind of why we're here. But I think it's worth thinking about how any legislation might work to allow for the changes that the Chancellor might want to make. Really, there are three dates that matter to us right now. One is today, and specifically actually the time between today and budget day, which is only about 4 weeks from when this video goes live. So if you're going to take action, time is pretty limited. And then there's April 6th, 2026, which is the start of the new tax year, and the date when many of the announcements could come into force. By then, the Finance Act, precipitated by the budget, should have come into law. Now, of course, the Chancellor could announce that any changes come into effect immediately, and then she can use anti-forestalling measures in the Finance Act to enforce those. But historically, whenever changes have been made to the lifetime allowance and, by extension, to tax-free cash, transitional protections have been put in place so that people with higher benefits could retain those. So if Rachel Reeves makes changes with immediate effect and doesn't make any transitional protection available, well, that's going to have a huge impact on the retirement planning of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. So, should you be doing anything now? Well, one very respected person in the pensions world, a guy called Tom McPhail, he's of the Lancat consultancy, but for many years he was very senior at Hargreaves Lansdown. He has taken his tax-free cash. I'll put a link to an article explaining why in the description. But his logic was that as his pension has exceeded the old lifetime allowance, his tax-free cash is now capped at the lump sum allowance. And this is very unlikely to be raised in the foreseeable future, so if it's not going to get any better, it's either going to stay the same or it's going to get worse. And for Tom, it made sense to take the calculated risk that his tax-free cash allowance is the highest it's ever going to be. For him, the context for the decision was, and I quote, "a government painfully short of money and ideologically disposed towards taxing wealth." And I think that if you are butting up against the lump sum allowance, the same argument could be used for you to do the same. But please, that is not advice. We don't give advice here. Every situation, including yours, is unique. So do your own research and, if you're in any doubt, seek professional advice. But you're going to have to move quickly. Before the last budget, there were a load of withdrawals rushed through that were subsequently reversed under the cancellation rights. But this time you're not going to be able to do that. The Financial Conduct Authority and HMRC have issued warnings that it's just not going to fly. If this is useful so far, do me a quick favour, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It really helps, so thank you. What might be the impact if the Chancellor messes with tax-free cash? Well, firstly, a significant change to the lump sum allowance could cause considerable hardship to a vast number of people. I mean, think about it. If you were relying on the tax-free lump sum from your pension to, say, pay off a mortgage, then reducing the lump sum allowance would really screw up your plans. I've been around long enough to remember such a thing as a pension mortgage, where this was the whole idea of the arrangement. Now, there won't be many of those left now, but plenty of people will have been factoring in a decent tax-free lump sum into their plans. Maybe just to do some home improvements or bridge the gap between retiring and state pension age. I also think that reducing the cap, or even reducing the percentage available down to, say, 20%, that would represent a significant erosion of trust in what has for 20 years been a bedrock promise of pensions. It would lead to a loss of faith in pension saving with long-term impacts on the financial health of the nation, potentially leading to higher dependency on welfare in the future. If changes are introduced from, say, April 2026 rather than on budget day, there's going to be a hell of a rush to crystallize and lock in those benefits before then. That could potentially impact markets as lots of money is disinvested, but that would only probably be temporary. But it would certainly impact advisors and providers who would be very busy very quickly. But I mean, let's face it, nobody's crying for them. But I don't think the pension providers would be able to make changes to their systems to cope with an immediate reduction to tax-free cash anytime soon. Making changes in the 4 and a bit months between the budget and the tax year end, that'd be difficult enough. There would need to be process changes, software and system updates, training, communication to customers, huge upticks in calls to customer service departments, all of which the industry doesn't cope well with if history is anything to go by. Before I say what I think is going to happen, let me just take a few seconds out to tell you about Meaningful Academy, and specifically the retirement planning course. This is the distillation of 28 years of me working with clients to help them retire well and with confidence. It's a deeply practical course showing you how to prepare your existing pension and investment accounts, decide whether to consolidate them, organize your investment approach, plan sustainable withdrawals from your portfolio, and all that in such a way that it doesn't take a great deal of time and energy to manage. There is a year's access to the incredible Voyant Go planning software included. That's the app that I use to manage my clients' retirements, and I show you in detail how to use it. And there's a thriving community of like-minded people, all looking to help each other out, including monthly live Q&A calls with me. So check it all out at meaningfulacademy.com/retirement planning. If you decide it's for you, use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you decide that it's not for you after all. No questions asked. But if you can wait just a few weeks, there will be the deepest discount we offer all year in our Black Friday sale. There's a special link in the description to join the mailing list so we can keep you informed of when the sale goes live. No obligation or anything, and you can opt out at any time. Okay, my gut feeling is that Rachel Reeves won't change tax-free cash in the coming budget. Now, I'm prepared to be wrong on this, and if changes are made, I'll just shoot a video. With a belly full of humble pie, I'll explain the changes and what to do in light of them. But I just think it's too politically charged to make any changes. I'm not sure that the $2 to $4 billion a year, depending on who you talk to, that it might yield in the short term, is going to be enough compensation for the damage to confidence in pensions and a higher potential reliance on welfare in the future. Of course, we all know that politicians only really seem to think as far ahead as the next election, so maybe long-term impacts are less important to her. If she does change things, I think that she will have to introduce some transitional protection. So maybe the maximum tax-free cash you're going to get in future will be the higher of some new lower lump sum allowance, or 25% of the value of your pension pot on budget day. And you'll be able to get some kind of certificate for that from your pension providers to prove it. That will at least give some comfort to those who are near to retirement but not quite there yet, and will enable them to lock in the tax-free cash at current levels. So unless your current tax-free cash entitlement is somewhere around the current lump sum allowance, in which case you might want to consider locking that in, I think you should be very wary of rushing to take your cash out now. One of my golden rules is that you only plan based on what you know to be true. You never plan based on speculation, certainly not on what the media say, because they always have an axe to grind, and it's certainly not your best interests. So please be wary of your media intake in the coming weeks, because it's going to get loud and it's going to get shouty. But please don't make snap decisions that might have long-term implications for your future just on the basis of rumor. Plan carefully and tread lightly. Okay, hope that was helpful. Fixed the audio in this one after the comments last time. But thanks for watching this one. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I will see you in the next one. Cheers.